Hey there, everyone. Gen X Man here on a hot and overcast day. Still recording out here in the cabin room as the usual recording spots upstairs are just a bit too toasty. Anywho, welcome to my first World of Warcraft video. Thank you all for tuning in. I know I've mentioned several times the wife and I play, and I held off wondering what my first video might be, so the wife and I were discussing the upcoming expansion Midnight, and the only thing we know about it at this time, player housing. She and I are on the same page about it, so she suggested I do my first top 10 video, and that sounded like a solid idea. So here we are, my first WoW video and my first top 10 video. Top 10 reasons I am not excited for player housing coming allegedly in World of Warcraft Midnight. Number one, Evergreen. Firstly, this feature is being touted as evergreen. If you've played WoW for any length of time, you know that evergreen is not evergreen. Throughout the game's existence, features have been added in the expansions the devs insisted were permanent features, and then we see their abandonment. Sometimes within the very expansion they were introduced. Archaeology was abandoned with Shadowlands, First Aid abandoned in Battle for Azeroth, Scenarios largely abandoned after Warlords of Draenor with some niche appearances, talents removed in Mists of Pandaria and not restored till Dragonflight. Then, with the War Within, several talents were removed from the mainline talent trees and repopulated into hero talent trees, perpetuating a little shell game with the illusion they were adding something new when they were essentially just only one or two actual new talents and just a bunch of repurposed ones. Reforging in Warlords of Draenor, obliterating and removed after Battle for Azeroth. Just the list goes on and on and on. But building on this point, there are limited areas planned for neighborhoods, and they say they'll add more, but they say a lot of things. For example, they made a fool out of poor Holly Longsdale after she stood on stage saying they were going to do something about Silithus. We're beyond trust me, bro, Blizz. God. Number two, the coding. Secondly, are our characters going to fit Tauren, Worgen, anyone with a size increase effect, like a potion of giant growth? Are they going to fit? Especially navigating stairs. Are we going to get hung up on objects? Blizzard's track record for programming space and dimension has been sketchy, especially now with them operating on a skeleton crew of unpaid interns, having fired nearly everyone prior to Christmas so the execs can collect a bonus. But I digress. Building on the scaling, how is the lag glitchiness going to be? Stormwind is darn near unplayable as it is during peak hours. Are these zones going to be rendered unplayable like that? Magic 8 Ball is saying probably. Number three, the aesthetics. Everything we've seen indicates this is essentially a human house with very slightly different trimming. No troll huts, no Draenei crystal buildings, no Volpura wagons, etc., etc. Just a stone and wood box you'd see in any human land. The human homogenization continues. These are going to be some aesthetically ruined zones, too. Ugly ass housing plopped into the middle of otherwise beautiful areas. I'm not excited to be flying over some breathtaking scenery, and here's a row of turn of the century London flats pooped out in the middle of it. Not to mention, when you're flying over, it's bound to herky jerky lag you out, maybe DC if the load's too much, which it probably will be. So, this might be a non point. Instead of seeing this ugly crap from the air, I might just have to avoid yet another zone in WoW. Yay! Number four, bad design and bad resource management. Almost every expansion, WoW feels smaller and smaller. There are so many abandoned zones, so much abandoned content. On a fresh alt, leveling is so fast, we zerg through maybe a couple zones for an hour and hit max level, which has to be this way because leveling feels frustrating and unrewarding and just an obstacle to get to the actual game. As every 2 years we're grabbed by the scruff and shoved face first into the new spec with no choice about it. Now we're going to be in this little house with our little communities, which will be griefed if it's all possible. I'll get to that point in a minute. Instead of having reasons to go out and see the world. The world Blizz has built over 20 plus years, the world that's right there waiting. waiting to be recoded so that every zone scales, that every quest and activity provides a meaningful method of progression, just like they've shown they can do and simply refuse to do. So, yeah, the world's going to feel even smaller inside these little houses. The World of Warcraft reduced to a slightly customizable box. Or are they just admitting there's no one left playing and hiding people away inside their houses will mask the abandoned social aspect? Why player housing instead of the billions of things people have been asking for over 20 years? Ogres, high elves, bard class, a real necromancer class, tinker class, different racial skins like the humans and Scholomans, body slide options, skinny cultivarants, etc., etc., etc. Dance Studio. I will not let that go. Maybe get the Corcoran out of the Barons. But whatever. Was this to compete with Final Fantasy? I mean, sure, people have been asking for player housing for decades, but they've been asking for a whole slew of other, more attainable things for a lot longer. It's a bizarre choice to allocate dwindling resources. And look at the programming resources they're dumping down this pit. Why didn't they just revisit garrisons? If you're down to a half dozen unpaid interns, you don't have the programming personnel to screw around. Look at what's already there. Figure out how to reskin it. You can't tell me Blizz doesn't know how to reskin. Garrisons were already right there, fully programmed and just begging for a new coat of paint. Why couldn't all those little doodads you're going to fill your human house with be things that you could slap into your garrison? Instead of programming these generic houses, they could have added new and more customizable buildings for the garrison, add in the garden from Pandaria, add options, design different bases. We already have a Hearthstone for the garrison. It's a perfect base. It has every amenity. We can teleport Dalaran and not a garrison. We teleported it to Draenor in the first place. But also garrisons. Here I am, touting garrisons, but I mean, they had their problems. It just seems like going from garrisons to housing is like it's the same core problem, but in a much smaller box. Garrisons were lonely. But they had the benefit of being connected to trade chat, general chat. So you could sit in your hub in your garrison and you could chat with other people. Player housing is going to feel even more lonely as at the time of this writing, there's no trade chat, there's no connection to other players, nothing. Allegedly, there'll be some way other players can interact with your housing, but I mean, with garrisons, you had control of that. They had to be in a party with you. How's it going to be with player housing? Because they didn't come out and just say, like, oh, yeah, you invite them to a party and you go in your house. Can people just zone into your player housing? Because I'll give you a spoiler about how colossally bad that's going to go.
And it won't be long before everyone gets really, really frustrated and stops playing altogether. Gentlemen, this could very well lead to the end of the World of Warcraft.
Number 5, griefers going to grief. In the neighborhood aspect and the housing aspect. Honestly, I don't know how this is going to work, and they haven't explained it, but WoW is one of, if not the most toxic online community out there. If there is a way to grief other people, the fan base will find it and exploit it. Shoving everyone together in a box is just going to make it easier. So, are people going to be able to come into your house? Because if they can, you're going to see, giant 50-story ogres smashing through your house, blocking you from getting anything done, so on and so forth. Lord help us if they're interactable. Like, I don't think they would go that far and let other players interact with your house, but we'll see. Yeah. So I'm just going to move on because they haven't detailed anything. It just sounds like a nightmare. Number 6, Gen X-Men Smash. I want to smash monsters and find out what's inside them. That's why I play games. Playing house is fine. I have zero interest in it, but it doesn't have to be all about me. However, they're hyping this and presenting it like this is going to be the number one activity for an entire 2-year, maybe, expansion. And that worries the crap out of me. I've already got my finger hovering over unsubscribe list. Don't shove me out the door. Number 7, chores. The wife and I own our own home. I'm the one doing the chores. I don't want to do more chores, which makes me wonder, are the people excited about this? People who don't own a home and want one? They don't have floors to sweep? dishes to do, clothes to wash, put away, because that's kind of what this sounds like. Is, instead of doing your house chores like I do all the time, you're gonna arrange your little knickknacks and so on and so forth, and it just sounds like another chore. But we'll see. We'll see. That's going to depend on how it's presented. So moving on to the other points. Number 8, how deep is this wall? Housing is super niche. Collecting looks like it's going to be a finite and probably brief activity. It doesn't seem like they have a dearth of objects to collect, and you buy them mostly. But if this is a major feature for the X Pack, I have no confidence it'll keep us entertained for an entire 2 years. So they better have a whole slew of other things to do. Number 9, how many times am I going to have to do this? What about people like me with a million alts? The first house, sure, is probably going to be mildly fun, even for a guy like me that just wants to go smash. But then I start getting to alt number 20 or 30, and it's just going to be tedious and awful to the point that I don't want to do it. Which makes me ask, is this going to be required to progress like Garrison's? Is every single character going to have to do this intro? Because that's not going to happen. And number 10, it's all or nothing. They at Blizz are betting the farm on this. There is nothing else being talked about or hyped regarding Wild Midnight at all. Playing House can be a feature, but it shouldn't be the feature, and it shouldn't be the only feature being hyped. I guess we'll hear more in a couple months at Gamescom, but they are already putting all their hype chips on housing. Not, ooh, a new race, or not, ooh, a new class, or anything like that, which makes me think there probably won't be anything new. Unless another goddamn dwarf race, for fuck's sake. So there you have it. I mean, I heard it and I was on paper. You're like, oh yeah, people have been asking for player housing for decades. Good for them, good on them. They'll get their player housing, they'll have some fun. It's not for me, but again, not everything has to be for me. But at the same time, this is the only thing they're talking about, and you're kind of like, okay, I'm not going to drop $60 plus to play house. The Sims still works perfectly fine if I, for some bizarre reason, would get the playing house bug. Like I want to go out and I want to go smash and such, and I want to. There's so many things that I've wanted that I'm kind of coming to the point where I'm never going to, I'm just accepted. I'm not going to see them. They're not going to happen. And further, their design directions and choices are more and more and more just saying, hey, this game ain't for you. That we realize you've played this 20 plus years and dumped tens of thousands of dollars down our throat and so on, and kept us afloat and sustained all this time and hyped all these people. We recognize that you've done all this for the game, but we're done with you. The door. It's just like that's just. But anyway, I digress. Mini rant. As you can see, I am passionate about this. I have played it since it launched, and like I said, I've sunk time, money, everything into this, and it's getting to the point where I'm just kind of, I'm just doing that now. I'm just rubbing the bridge of my nose and just being like, okay, okay. So anyway, so there you have it. My first WoW video. Sorry it wasn't more positive. I do not enjoy getting worked up and angry. I do not enjoy being negative because you see how it affects me. Once a ball starts rolling, it just wants to keep rolling. So I try to keep positive and happy, and my first top 10 video. So, but obviously, there'll be more positive, happy stuff in the future. This is an anomaly. I don't want to be one of those channels that just descends into rampant negativity all the time. I'm too happy a person. So anyway, but I hope you enjoyed this little foray into WoW. There will probably be other videos on it in the future. And I hope I entertained you. If I did, may I ask you to like, comment, subscribe, all the usual YouTube things, like Sticker says. So, but anyway, thank you for your time, though. Thank you for clicking on this and giving me a moment. That means the world to me, to my tiny little channel, and I appreciate it. So until next time, go out and get some exercise, maybe indoors. It's the heat wave right now, but drink lots of water, have some fun, watch some cartoons, play some games, watch some movies, play an instrument, do something fun today, and as always, have a good one.